And welcome back to the Hot Lap. I told you it wasn't going away, and it's not anytime soon. We've done a separate news for this one. No, not exactly breaking news, but certainly an interesting update, as reported once again on BBC. Once it's on BBC, I think there's a strong chance of it very much being true. And so Christian Horner's complaining, this female, in relation to this Christian Horner debacle, I want to say at the moment. She's apparently very upset, scared, and alone. That's according to a family friend. This is from Andrew Benson again, so let's get into it. So the woman who complained about the Red Bull team principal Horner's behaviour is very upset, angry and scared, intimidated and lonely, which is something that no one really should experience. And that's according to a family friend in relation to the emotions from this lady that's going through the complaint. And as we know, the woman lodged a complaint in December, contained allegations of coercive, abusive sexual behaviour by Horner. Horner has obviously denied these claims, and this is what's interesting. She struggles to understand how Red Bull dismissed the complaint following an investigation. That's from a family friend. Horner has always denied these claims. So Red Bull dismissed the complaint on the 28th of February, leading into the Bahrain Grand Prix. And this was after an internal investigation cleared Horner of any wrongdoings. I don't know why he always has to have his age 50 of any wrongdoings, but moving on. So until now, the complainant has been described as one of inappropriate and controlling behaviour that's been going on. Red Bull have said they could not confirm it, or they could not confirm it also included allegations of sexual harassment, which I thought was interesting. But BBC Sport has seen evidence to that effect. So the woman is unable to talk about her claims, having signed a legal undertaking not to discuss the matter with anyone other than her father and brother, the friend said. It's impossible for people to understand what it's like for her. And taking that at face value, I completely understand if that's the case. And that's what this friend is saying, who was talking to BBC Sport exclusively on the condition of anonymity. She said she can't talk and she won't talk, but I can tell you what it's doing to her. Every time I've asked her something, she breaks down in tears and said she's got no one to talk to because she's not allowed to talk. Yeah, so the same female, was it, that was suspended by Red Bull the day before International Women's Day? Okay, if you felt like she's done something wrong, yeah, definitely a PR blunder there. So she's very upset, very angry, very scared, very intimidated, very lonely. And I think it's impossible for people to understand without being in her shoes what it's like for her. So a Red Bull spokesman said both parties signed a confidentiality agreement on it, so they both can't discuss it. So as we know, the day after the complaint was discussed, this cache of messages purporting to involve Horner was leaked to all these 150 personnel in Formula One. Now, the following week, the complainant was suspended by Red Bull, and BBC Sport has previously reported that the reason given to the woman by Red Bull was that she was dishonest. Horner's described the leak as anonymous, speculative messages from an unknown source, interestingly not denying them. So you have to wonder, does that mean there's more chance of them being true? I've looked at them, clips of them, of these alleged messages, and as I said, they're not the worst things in the world. However, having said that, they're not great either, especially if it wasn't the Christian Horner sending them. So BBC Sport is not verified whether the messages are genuine, and attempts in early March to ask Horner to confirm was shut down by a Red Bull PR handler. However, the friend claimed the messages were, and this is interesting, were a genuine exchange between Horner and the complainant. The friend said, "We can read all the WhatsApp messages and anybody can come to their own conclusion whether that was an appropriate relationship between a CEO and a PA. If the messages are true, no, that was not an appropriate relationship between a CEO and a PA. Albeit, sometimes when these things, you've only got one side of the story, but taking that on absolute face value, it probably wasn't." As Christian said, he wants to draw a line under this. Well, if this has been a fair and independent process, there has been no wrongdoing found, then why isn't that being brought forward in a transparent way? And why isn't Christian denying those WhatsApp are real? I do feel like you had some people who feel it takes two to tango, but that's unfair. That is trying to divert the issue here. Should Christian have done what he did as CEO? Yeah, and I think, yeah, fair enough. So Red Bull have said they cannot confirm further on the report and its findings because of confidentiality issues regarding employment law. It's shocking but not surprising how upset she is. So the friend said the woman has been badly hit by Red Bull's response to her complaint. She struggles to understand, it says, how, given the information, an independent process can have come to the conclusion it has, and the actions that have followed, her friend said. It's shocking but not surprising how upset she is. There have been multiple financial offers to sell her story, none of which she has any interest in even engaging on. The fact she can't talk to friends, is only allowed to talk to directly to her family members. You have a single female who has followed the right process and feels like she is unheard, and it has been a totally unjust process. It takes a pretty brave woman to do what she has done, and unfortunately it is a very poor state of affairs. So the complainant, as we know, has appealed against Red Bull's decision and made F1's governing body, the FIA, aware of the situation and asked it to investigate. The friend added it is registered to go on an employment tribunal, which is public. I mean, that is really going to be, that's going to be throwing the cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it? If indeed that's true, it is public, because everything's going to come out in the wash then, isn't it? And either Red Bull are saying this woman's dishonest, or what Christian Horner done is not very nice, and potentially that's going to come out for all to see. It could be absolute vindication for Horner, where people are going to have to apologise, to him for accusing him of things, or very much the other way around. I mean, if these WhatsApp messages are fake, it's absolutely abhorrent what they're doing to him. However, the fact that he's not denying it, you have to start, you start to wonder whether they are or whether they're not. You're kind of like stuck on the fence, because Red Bull have not denied them being real. And so once again, we're down to this lack of transparency. And the article goes on to say, the friend added, it is registered to go on an employment tribunal, which is public. As a friend, I can tell you, I would assume that Horner, like he has done every step of the way, will do everything he can to make sure that the employee tribunal is not public. Unfortunately, the date is a long time away. She has been threatened with legalese every step of the way, as has the media. She has now been suspended, and it's clear that Red Bull following a process to eventually fire her. Now, Red Bull spokesman said Christian has not made attempts to make sure the employment tribunal is private, apparently, and she has not been suspended with the intent of firing her. So the friend said the woman would keep pursuing her case. It says she is determined for the truth to come out. She just wants to work in the sport and is very concerned about her reputation and ability to get hired by anyone. I mean, if Red Bull are calling her dishonest, absolutely. She has been in motorsport her entire life, so on one hand, she's very concerned and scared for her future. On the other hand, very determined for the truth to come out. Now, because she can't talk to her friends openly, I think she has all this bottled up fear and concern that she is not able to openly communicate with her friends and family to support her and give her advice. Because she is being respectful of the terms and conditions that have been placed on her, fair enough, it's pretty clear that she has not been able to say a word or even identify herself, and yet Christian is able to give enough commentary because he has got a position of power and influence to effectively give his side of the story, and she has been completely muted. I mean, to be fair, Christian's not really given his side of the story other than denying it and carried on. I think a lot of people think the maybe hypocrisy is the fact that she's been suspended because they believe to be dishonest and there's an investigation, but Horner wasn't suspended. So, I mean, there is some potential hypocrisy there, maybe, but yeah, this has not ended. It's gonna continue. I mean, if this tribunal is public, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to make for very interesting reading one way or another. But I thought some of you might be interested on that. I am, to see where this whole Red Bull saga goes. Ultimately, Christian Horner is going to be innocent and absolutely vindicated, or he is akin to a James Bond villain in relation to this. If you believe everything here, who knows? And once again, you have to blame Red Bull a tiny bit because of this absolute lack of transparency. But it is their right. They are a private company. But the lack of transparency, then, you can't really see Red Bull ultimately as the complete victims, because it's their choice not to be completely transparent and not give anyone anything. I mean, yes, legal, but they're almost like internal legal proceedings until now. So I suspect they did have the choice to do that, which they didn't. Which you have to which then makes people think, why didn't they do that? like the same as a WhatsApp. Why aren't they denying it? So watch this space, I guess. Anyway, this has been the Hot Lap. Subscribe if you want to see more news going into the Japanese Grand Prix, and we will no doubt speak to you soon. Thank you very much.